For the first time in history, ChatGPT does not hold the majority. That sentence would have seemed impossible 2 years ago. But this week, the data made it official. ChatGPT's share of the global AI assistant market dropped to 46.4%, below half for the first time ever. Google Gemini climbed to 27.7%, Claude reached 10.3%, and a new tool called OpenRouter Fusion just rewrote the rules entirely. Now here's the part most people will completely misread. They will see that headline and think it is a story about competition between big tech companies. It is not. It is actually a signal about what you should be using right now, and more importantly, what you might be wasting money on. Let me walk you through what this data is actually telling us. Start with the raw numbers. ChatGPT still has 1.1 billion monthly active users. That is an enormous number. Nobody is saying ChatGPT is failing, but the market has shifted. People are actively comparing AI tools now. They're no longer just defaulting to the first one they heard about. That is a completely different behavior. It means the era of one AI tool dominating everything is over, and the era of choosing the right tool for the right job has begun. That shift matters for you directly because the people who understand which tool to use for which task will get dramatically better results. The people who stick with one tool out of habit will quietly fall behind. Now here's where Claude's numbers get genuinely interesting. Claude sits at 10.3% of the total market, smaller than ChatGPT and Gemini by a large margin. But look at this one number. 13% of Claude users pay for subscriptions. That is the highest paid conversion rate of any AI assistant right now. Higher than ChatGPT, higher than Gemini, higher than everything. What does that tell us? It tells us Claude users are getting enough real value that they are willing to open their wallets, not because they were tricked into a free trial, not because their company pays for it, because it works well enough that they chose to pay personally. That metric is arguably more honest than total user counts. Total users includes people who signed up once and never came back. Paid conversion rate tells you who found genuine daily value. And right now, that person is disproportionately a Claude user. If you are finding this breakdown useful, subscribe for more practical AI insights every week. We cover what the data is actually telling you, not just what the headlines say. Now let me introduce the thing that surprised me most this week. A tool called OpenRouter Fusion just launched. And the numbers coming out of early testing are hard to ignore. Here's what it does. Instead of sending your prompt to one AI model, Fusion sends it to multiple models simultaneously. Then it combines their outputs into one synthesized response. You run one query. You get the best parts of multiple AI systems thinking together. Here's why the benchmark results matter. The Draco benchmark tested different model combinations this week. A panel combining 2 frontier models scored 69%. That beat either model working alone. But here is the genuinely interesting part. A budget panel of 3 widely available models scored 64.7%, nearly identical performance, at roughly half the cost. That is not a marginal difference in price. That is the kind of gap that changes whether a small business owner can afford to run AI workflows at all. If you are currently paying premium subscription prices for a single top-tier AI model, this data deserves your attention. Let me put this in real terms. Imagine you run a small business. You use AI for writing proposals, drafting emails, researching competitors, and answering customer questions. Right now, you might be paying for a single premium AI subscription, anywhere from $20 to $40 a month, and you get one model's output on everything. OpenRouter Fusion changes that equation. You can now send the same task to 3 solid mid-tier models simultaneously. Get a synthesized answer that matches or beats the premium model at a fraction of the cost. For a freelancer or small business owner managing tight margins, that matters, not just as a curiosity, as a real monthly budget decision. Now zoom out for a second. There's a bigger pattern here that the market shift is revealing. We have entered what you might call the comparison era of AI. The first era was discovery. Everyone was just trying to understand what AI even was. The second era was adoption. People picked one tool and started using it regularly. We are now in the third era, evaluation. People are comparing tools side by side. They are asking which AI is best for writing, which is best for research, which is best for coding. And they are getting real answers for the first time because now there are enough tools at enough quality levels that the differences are measurable. This is actually great news for everyday users. Competition between AI companies means better tools at lower prices. And the people who understand how to navigate that landscape will consistently get better results than people who just stick with whatever is most popular. Let me give you a practical framework for thinking about this. There are 3 types of AI tool users right now. The first type uses one tool for everything. They have ChatGPT open all day and rarely question whether another tool would do it better. This was completely fine in 2024. In 2026, it means leaving a lot of quality and value on the table. The second type switches tools constantly based on whatever news they just read. This week Claude, next week Gemini, the week after something else. This wastes time and never builds real skill with any one tool. The third type is what the market data this week is pointing toward. They use a small, intentional stack of 2 or 3 tools, each one chosen for what it does best. And they are now starting to use routing tools like Fusion to let the AI itself decide which model handles which part of a task. That third type is where the real efficiency gains are happening right now. Here's a concrete way to think about building your own stack. For conversational research and nuanced writing, the paid conversion data suggests Claude is genuinely worth testing. For integrated tools inside products you already use daily, Google Gemini is now embedded in Search, Gmail, and a growing list of Google apps. For raw information retrieval and web-connected answers, ChatGPT still holds enormous reach and integrations. And for running multiple models simultaneously without paying for multiple premium subscriptions, OpenRouter Fusion is the tool that just entered the picture this week. None of this requires a technical background. All of these tools work from a browser. The only skill required is knowing which one to open for which task. The market shift happening this week is not just about which tech company is winning. It is about a fundamental change in how people relate to AI tools. For 2 years, AI felt like one thing. Now it's becoming a landscape with real distinctions. And the people who learn to navigate that landscape thoughtfully will consistently get better results, better outputs on their work, better return on whatever they spend on subscriptions, better outcomes on the tasks they are using AI to handle. That gap between intentional AI users and passive ones is going to widen fast. The data is already showing it. The rankings just shifted. The tools are more capable than ever. And the cost to access that capability is actually dropping. What you do with that information is up to you. Chapters, 0 o'clock hook. The rankings just flipped, 0:45. What the new data actually shows, 2:30. Why Claude is winning on the metric that matters. 4:15. The OpenRouter Fusion discovery, 6 o'clock. What this means for your money and time, 7:30. The practical framework for choosing AI tools, 8:45. Final thoughts.